Okay, we're going. I feel like a mummy.
A mummy?
I feel like a mummy. I'm a muffled mummy.
You're a muffled mummy, but you look cute in your
Hello.
pre-snow gear.
Hi everybody, welcome.
She finished the thing.
I finished the thing. So I had to wear it, but then I had knitters like, but you gotta wear your mask until you take it off. So look. Ooh, sirens.
Yeah.
There they go. This is my my thing I was inspired to get to. But hang on, it's our Monday. Can you tell? I'm a little discombobulated, but no migraine. Ha.
It's Monday.
Welcome everybody to the Sun Dragon Sideshow.
The Adventures of Liz and Rebecca. I'm Liz. I'm the minion at Sun Dragon Art and Fiber in Brevard, North Carolina.
She knows if I pause, she's got to fill space. Vamp! I'm Rebecca. I am the owner of Sun Dragon Art and Fiber in Brevard, North Carolina, getting ready for winter. And I think the rain might actually stop today. It rained like all day yesterday.
Yeah.
Oh my Lord.
We got 2 inches.
Torrential downpour. Yeah. I was here taking photos and I left just to get rained on getting to the car, but it was the big fat drops, but not pouring yet. And I got home and got inside and it was like, I went, oh, good.
When I told you I was going to go take a nap, it was like thunder constant, like shaking the house thunder.
I heard a peal of thunder yesterday that was like, I thought there was a mudslide somewhere.
Yeah,
because it was so long.
It just kept going and going and going.
Mm-hmm.
And I took a nap and I woke up and we hadn't gotten any rain at that point, like before I took a nap.
Mm-hmm.
And I woke up and I went outside and we had 1.5 inches in the rain gauge.
She's got a rain gauge, is very cool.
And then it took the rest of the day to get that 1/2 inch. It was like, are we there yet? No. Are we? No.
Yeah. So I worked on a couple things over the weekend. I started both of these projects during knit night, or made progress on them on knit night. This I started before knit night on Friday. And shout out to Cheryl. She said, are you going to show them off on Tuesday? Of course I'm going to show them off on Tuesday. It's what I do. There's no hidden projects. There's no one on knitting a sit and stitch that sees things that you all don't see. You see everything. Because ain't nobody got time for extra.
If we work on it at knit night, it's a public project.
Yes.
If we're hiding it, nobody sees it ever. But then we don't
Have we
work
done
on
that?
It. No. But if we were to, like, if we were going to go, surprise, it would be like,
yeah, no one would see it.
Nobody would see it ever. And we wouldn't have
Someone
time. We wouldn't have time to do it.
So this one, it was folded over when I started because it's long. This is the Zombie Barbecue. This is known as Lace's Zombie Barbecue, which is one of Liz's favorite colorways. Favorite. And it looks so pretty in the skein. It's been staring at me for weeks. Well, I don't think we've had it for weeks, but it feels like weeks because time has no meaning anymore. It feels like Saturday was 3 months ago, and yet time is flying by and it's already August. How the heck did that happen?
I know.
So I saw this on what, Thursday? I want to say Thursday.
Yeah, well, it had been staring her in the face for a while, but on Thursday she decided to play with it.
And don't worry, this one, if someone wants to buy it,
we'll go in quarantine.
We'll go in quarantine because it's all over my face now. Oh my gosh, speaking of quarantine, this is going to be another squirrel moment. Liz had to make a new quarantine box. Thank you for keeping us busy. But Liz had to make a new our first quarantine box was like this deep. It was like a little tray. Yeah. Our new quarantine box would probably be taller than this table. And it is full from last week. And we have a post-quarantine box of stuff that's been in quarantine for a week so it can go back on the shelves.
It hasn't made it there yet.
It's full because we haven't had time to put it back on the shelves. That's one of the things I was going to try to do. Oh my gosh, what she's working on is beautiful. We have to get to that, but I'm distracted. As one of the things we have to do today, I thought it might rain today, and that way we would have time to put stuff away. But I think the weather's clearing up.
There's a chance of rain. We do live in Brevard.
Well, there's always a chance of rain. That's true. So it depends on if our Vikings laying siege wear rain slickers today or not. Oh my. So sport weight, so slightly thicker than fingering weight. So pretty in this skein. And if you go onto my Instagram feed or Facebook, you can, or if I put a montage in the newsletter that went out this week. I did like here's what it looks like if I unravel this, and then here's what it looks like if I wind this, and then this went through several morphs, but I decided to try to use as much of the skein as I could. I had this much left when I decided I was kind of done.
That's a cute little ball.
It's a cute little ball. I mean, the little yarn barf came out of it. But I could have kept going, but I was like, yeah, you know what? I have a lot of things I want to do. And this was like, watch this. It doesn't work well with my there we go.
Yeah, but if you pull it down over the front of your eyes, and then you put another hat over the top, it's like a ski mask. It completely covers.
It's like a balaclava. It's gonna totally mess up my little
knots.
Leia knots. They're not really Leia knots, they're just pull-throughs. Pigtail buns. So I'm gonna take it off. But this is so cool. So this is an example of how a skein that has just patches of color throughout it, this becomes a band of yarn when you untwist it. And the band has like, it's red, and then it's the purpley gray, and it's the green, and it's got like two patches, I want to say. It's got a bigger chunk of this color. But it's what happens depending on your number of stitches. It will look totally different, because this, I was really having fun with. This is a spiral, but it's stacking enough row to row that it's like thick, and see how there's thicker and thinner, and it kind of like, this would be called pooling. Sometimes people don't want pooling, which is where colors in a variegated yarn stack on top. They form a puddle, and people are like, ugh, it's ruined.
But that pooling looks like a spiral.
And when I started this, I want to say, this is part. This is where I started. And when I started it, it almost looked like it was going to pool so much it was going to be stripes going this way, which would have been cool too. My first, what?
Oh, I was going to say, when I did Bernie's cowl thing like that, it started spiraling, and then it did horizontal stripes, and then it went back to spiraling, which was kind of cool.
Using a variegated yarn for hats for my stepson and my nephew this Christmas, and they did that. They kind of went like this, and then and the spiraled within what was going on. I stuck with this. I could have changed. So this went through several morphs. The pattern for this, nice, super easy pattern, can be used for any weight yarn. Liz suggested it. I was so excited. I'm getting to it.
There we go.
It's like she thinks I draw things out or something. It's called Just Try It. And actually, I was looking it up. It's funny. It's called Just Try It ... by Susan Ashcroft. Susan Ashcroft, also known as Stitch Nerd Designs. I think she's the same one who did Swimming with Salmon, which is a really pretty thing I use this type of yarn for. And I was like, no, I want to, and then I went, no, that's a really good pattern to use for this.
I like this story. Did you read the story about why it's called Just Try It?
No.
Because she made the cowly thing, and her husband or friend or somebody was like, and she's like, just try it.
Just put it
on and just try it. And it was like, ooh, this is kind of cool. And so, yeah.
My like, how art is in the eye of the beholder, and what someone painted is not necessarily what someone else sees. So my take on the name, I didn't know that story, and I think it's a really great beginner cowl. So just try it. Just do it. That's my like second meaning to it. That's not what she meant as the name for it.
I like it because it can be tight fitting
Mhm.
for, you know, guys, or you're going skiing or you want
Guys,
something.
yeah, it's a little more manly when it's like.
And she has it
Snug.
written out to where it can go from that to a bigger cowl
Yeah.
that you can almost twist
Like
around.
a drapey one, or like an infinity scarf that
Yeah.
you could double loop. She's got guidelines for cast-ons for all of it, and for different weights. Like this is sport weight, but I followed the instructions for sock or fingering weight because she's got sock/fingering DK and worsted, I think. And she did the same thing for swimming with salmon, which is another really fun pattern, which if I think about it, we might show off another time. Or if we have time today, but I don't know. And so I followed the instructions for fingering weight, size 6 needle, and the snug one said 91 stitches. It's a repeat of 7 stitches. It's super easy. Look, it's knit 5, purl 2. Super easy rib. I'm a big fan of, if you have a busy yarn, pick a simple pattern. Do something simple with it. Let the yarn, the fun busyness, the colors, do the work and show off. If I had done lace work or cables or something else with this yarn, most of all my work probably would have been lost.
Oh,
sometimes lace work will work with something like this, but on the whole, if you've got a fancy busy yarn, just do some simple stitches with it. It's not about showing off your knitting prowess. It's about, look how awesome this yarn looks. Let's just do something simple and mindless and yay, which also is really good for beginners.
Well, and sometimes it's cold and you need to get warm fast, and having a quick knit to be able to do that.
Winter is coming. Winter
or for presents, you want to knock out presents fast, you know.
Super easy. The directions did not say make this ridiculously tall. The directions are, you know, go until you feel like stopping. So I just milked this for all it's worth. I could fold it over, I can do things with it, or I could have made it just snug enough to fit around the neck. But as Liz was saying, I can pull this up over my head, can really make sure the back of the neck stays warm in the wintertime for people living in the cold places. However, getting back to how this went through morphs. I started with the 91 stitches and I started going to town. And it stacked, or it missed the stacking so slightly that it looked like stripes. It looked like jig-jogged single layer stripes, and I just didn't like how it was looking. It wasn't showing off the yarn like I wanted it to. Like, I feel like either if it was variegated with no color ever overlapping, which I could have done with even more stitches, or what I ended up with here was great, but this was stacking ever so slightly just off that it looked like a single spiral, and it just wasn't as pretty to me. Someone else might have loved it. So I ripped it out. I got about this far, that part down there, and I ripped it out and I cast on 7 more stitches. So this is what happened when I had 98 stitches. Totally different effect. I don't think I put it online. I might have. If not, I could make another montage.
I think you sent me a picture.
I sent you a picture.
The first one.
I also sent Amanda from Lorna's Laces a picture. I sent her a picture, like some really like horrible lighting photos of me in my living room wearing this, and at least one of those made it in the newsletter, to show her what this looks like. And I also sent her a picture of, in case you're interested, with 7 fewer stitches, here's what it looked like. I can pull that up on my phone maybe while we're talking, but it looked completely different. And which just goes to show, like, the width of anything that color changes, whether it is self-patterning, just variegated, self-striping, anything like that, it's going to look completely different depending on how wide or narrow it is. So gloves will come out different than a hat, will come out different than a sweater. It just will. So there's no like, well, what will this look like knit up? I can show you what it looks like knit up for this, but if you make it and your gauge is different than mine, it won't look like this. So it's really hard to tell people, here's what's going to happen, because everyone's different. Or like, how much yarn do I need for a blanket? How many stitches should I cast on for a blanket? That is a hard question to answer, because it's not like everybody does exactly the same thing.
And it depends on what you're going to do with the stitches too. Like if you're going to do a blanket, just taking, you know, and you're going to do stitches across, it'll look different and might come out slightly different than if in stockinette than if you did it like in moss or a basket weave or garter. Like it's all going to, it's
gonna change things. Okay, so this is what mine looked like. This is what the first one looked like. It was shorter, chunkier. Like I wasn't a fan. Anyway, so some people might look at those two side by side and be like, I don't notice a difference.
It spiraled, but it spiraled in chunks versus a nice smooth spiral.
It didn't look as fun as this. Anyway.
I'm so proud. Now she has a zombie apocalypse. Well, it's zombie barbecue something,
but it's getting me ready for the zombie apocalypse,
which we're kind of in. But, okay.
So you finished something this weekend.
I did.
She's back to a Papillon that's absolutely gorgeous, and
I was informed that it wigs one of our knitters who watches us.
Shout out to Jan.
Jan, sorry,
She was not working on a Papillon last week.
Not working on the Papillon last week because I pulled out my shift. Let me get this last stitch.
No, she needs to. Okay, so I was joking. I started. I talked about it last week. I started my Nightshift shawl, which I'll show you in a second. And I was joking. You know, all of this started with an episode called "The Dueling Papillons," and I'm like, we can have the Dueling Nightshifts. Yeah, but you started last May.
I did, but I took a very extensive break.
You can't. You don't play by those rules. No.
It's like your Papillon.
Yeah, I took an extensive. We did, yeah.
But yeah.
Well, I was like, oh, Dueling Nightshifts, and no, but you finished this weekend.
I finished this weekend, but I did lose the will to live after 200 stitches across.
Yeah.
It's like 220 stitches.
The shawl ends at like 190 something stitches, and she kept going. I want to keep going on mine, but maybe I won't lose the will to live as fast as she did. We'll see.
I actually, when I got back to it, it was fewer stitches than going across my Papillons. So I was like at 171 stitches.
Thicker yarn, fewer stitches. Do you want me to take part of it?
Yeah, we'll start. So I stopped in here. Like that's how far I had gotten.
Yes, that is where she was.
From May to like.
With the Fiesta wear. Remember the Fiesta wear when we were talking about it last week? Was that just last week?
That was just last week.
Holy crap, she's done a lot since then.
I stopped somewhere in there.
Okay.
The pattern kind of wraps up somewhere in there.
She kept going. Oh, I got a hold. Okay.
So this was,
oh my God, it's like a blanket.
I did like from here up this weekend. And it is ginormous. So this is the top edge.
This is so cool. It's so pretty.
Oops.
What are we doing?
I'm trying to figure out which way. Here. This is the inside. So there's how it's stripies, so you can see all of it.
Starts over by her there. Yep, gets bigger with every other row. Oh my gosh, look at this. That should be our cover shot because it's so different.
It's ginormous.
Hold on. That's gonna be our thumbnail, man. Hang on. Hold up the. Oh, that's good. Okay. That's awesome. And so go through this. Things that Liz did differently than the pattern. Hang on. I'm going to lead her through this and then let her run free.
Okay.
You did this all in garter. Like there's no pearls on this.
I did.
I'll show you mine in a second. It's got pearls because the pattern is written with some pearls.
There's one row. It's
one row every 4 rows.
Yeah. That says knit 3, purl across to the last 3, and then knit the last 3. Yeah, I wasn't gonna do that. So
anyway.
Slip the last 3. Yeah. Sorry.
I-cord edging. If you don't know what that is, don't worry about it. I-cord edging. A lot of slipping.
Yeah.
I forgot to do that on one. I had to fix it. Anyway.
So, anyway, change the P to a K and just keep going.
That's the first thing I wanted to point out.
Which
how
means
hers will be
it's
different than mine.
very textury.
Yes.
all over.
You also used worsted and bulky yarn.
I used worsted and bulky. I put it on a size 10 needle.
That's yeah.
This
This is so huge because it's on a big needle. Like it's written for worsted weight on an 8.
And because I was using the bulky, it was Lorna's Laces bulky, so it's like
totally use this as a blanket.
That's kind of what I was hoping for. I was like, because if worse comes to worse, you can curl up underneath of it.
And then go ahead.
So
it looks like a cornucopia right now.
It does. So this is all of the background with the A color.
Which is as far as I got on mine in a second.
And then I think I did, the pattern expires somewhere in here.
Yeah.
And
following her color combo.
I changed, this I think was section 9, this right here. I changed the color because it would have kept going with these colors.
This
and I
year,
wanted to bring
bubbles,
A back.
Yeah, the bubbles are A. Here's what I discovered as I was knitting, because she's got like, okay, use A and B, and now use A and C, and use A and D, and A and E, and A and F. And I'm like, oh, I'm almost through having A as the background. Great. And then I looked forward ahead at the pattern and went,
there is no other.
A doesn't come back again. But I want A as bubbles. A has been the background, which is super cool, but I want A as bubbles. Anyway,
so I put A as bubbles.
I want to do that.
And then I just started kind of just like, hey, I'm just going to grab a yarn that I have leftovers. And then in here, I switched out to a completely extra color. So this was my color number 7.
It's so pretty. Look at that. Look at that.
The background is the white.
Aslan.
It just, I wanted to end on a softer note.
It looks so cool on camera too, because like,
I know.
like, and I looking at it up close, I'm like, colors, blah, blah, blah. And I'm looking at it on the camera, and it's like, ooh, it's so soft and pretty from far away.
I ended
cool
with Zombie Apocalypse, or Zombie Barbecue, and Aslan. But my favorite combination, I was telling Rebecca, is actually this one. It's Christmas at Downton and Aslan. And it's just, it softens everything. But I kind of changed up the pattern. I started following the recipe in here instead of the actual, I was past the end of the pattern, so I went back to the recipe. So like this section here is just a couple of rows of the slip 1 and then a couple of rows of slip 2, and which threw the rest of the pattern off, but by that point I didn't care.
It doesn't matter. Yeah. At that point, she's doing whatever she wants. She's having fun. Yeah. The pattern is written so you can follow her instructions for color combos, or once you get started, you can. There's a 1 block of a recipe, and you can change colors whenever you want. Like it's about what, 20 rows.
She recommends
19 rows.
changing your bubble color after you get through the whole 24 rows, but you can change your background color anytime.
Mm-hmm.
I would change my bubble color after every 10 stitches.
Oh, you do. Because there's
section.
If you can see on this, there's a little bubble section and a wider bubble section.
Yeah.
And she wasn't changing until you went through both of those.
Yeah, she would do great big chunks, and I started changing like after every 5 bubbles, just to try and use up more yarn.
Mm-hmm. So, oh, it's so cool. And hers, so Andrea Mowry wrote hers for color shifting yarn. And we have friends texting us, and we'll look at that in a second. It's good news. Okay. Andrea wrote hers for colors that slowly shift, hence the night shift, shift, blah. Spin cycle. We don't have spin cycle. We have an approximation again, which I'll show you in a second. I do like to drag things out, don't I? But we're talking about yours now. But Liz used all variegated Lorna's laces. This is a thinner Lorna's lace. So this is what it looks like if you use a variegated yarn. And like, again, from a distance, I'm looking in the camera screen right now. You can see the shifts of color. They're just they're in a faster shift, but they're going to shift differently depending on how wide the stitches are. Yeah. And maybe pull and overlap. Like there's sections in here that look like they're pooling, especially in here. It's really cool. Yeah. So don't be shy about trying it with a variegated instead of, if you find the color shift yarns, you don't like the colors, then do it with variegated. You can do with solids too. It's still gonna look cool.
And what I tell everybody, so these 2 colors in here, match so closely, it's hard to tell the
Like,
color.
yeah, you can't really, like, from far away,
Yeah.
you're like, yeah.
And I keep telling people, find colors that have nothing to do with each other. Like all of the red and this in here was reds and yellows mixed with purples and orange and, you know, and it looks like Fiesta dinnerware. But like, if they're too close, you're going to lose all your detail.
Yeah.
So,
speaking of that,
yeah. It is heavy. It is super heavy.
Again, if you go back and look on Instagram, you can see I decided, again, our closest thing to Spin Cycle is Feederbrook Farm. Wonderful. Lisa is in Maryland. It's our sheep to shop yarn, where it's her sheep that she shears and spins and dyes and plait. All of it's in-house now, which is super awesome. And then we get it. Yay! And it's one of those, there's 2 strands of color and both strands are changing and it might be at different rates. So the whole thing kind of shifts and it's really cool. And I tried to pick out colors that I thought had nothing to do with each other. And can I give you like 3 to hold up?
Yep.
So like I picked out 6 colors, and like the 3 I'm holding up are kind of close to each other, but like these are my 6, and I tried to pick them in an order that, you know, the order is going to shift, but because it's all shifting. And you can tell this was my A. This is what I have the least left of. But technically, I have used every single color now, and my A is done according to the pattern. Like, I think I was talking with Liz about this. The Spin Cycle yarn she designed this for is their worsted weight that comes in hanks that are only like 150 or 125 yards.
I want to say it's because Spin Cycle's all 50 grams.
All 50 grams. These are 100 grams. So when I found out the color A was only used in the background, and I'm done with it now, and I'm like, but I still have yarn left. And you know, it's done. I have yarn left, so it's A, B, and C. I haven't done it as the dots yet. I want to do it as the bubbles. So I am going to follow the recipe as prescribed, but I'm probably going to keep going to use up some more yarn because I'm going to have leftovers of every single color. I was this morning saying to Brian, am I going to make it bigger and have fun, which is thinking outside the box, which is hard as a yarn shop owner to do, because then people say, well, how do I make my ears look like yours?
Are you going to do like mine, where I followed the pattern to section 10
to the end,
then do the recipe?
If I keep going, I'm going to follow the pattern to the end. So when people say, how do I make it look like yours? I can say, this is the pattern to this spot, and then have fun. Like the rest of it, I had fun. Use up your leftovers, have fun. The other option would be to absolutely stop and not use my leftovers and turn them into mini bags of mystery. But I feel like if people are gonna buy our kits, which I wanna put together later, I want them to know, like, part of the reason I don't put out kits until I've tested the pattern is then I can tell them, you're gonna have leftovers. You could probably buy a shift, the cowl pattern, if you're okay with only 3 colors, and do your own version of the night shift and make it through the whole thing. Or if you're gonna go whole hog and get the 6 colors because it's pretty, either make it bigger or make 2, you know, something like that. But I won't know till I'm done just how accurate that is. But I want to make shift kits, and out of our Feederbrook Fancy, and also out of our 220 Superwash, which is the kind of the more cost-effective, economical version. It will shift, but it's not the super fancy blue face Leicester. It's washable wool. So since we're probably going long at this point, and I actually had a sticky note of other things to talk about, which we'll talk about quickly. This is mine, following the pattern so far to the end of, what is this, section 6 maybe? Mm-hmm. The background of all of this, all the background is all the same yarn. So you can see how the color shifts. The background of everything, I've got color, so the background of the whole thing is color A. This is color B, color C, color D, color E, and I just finished color F. But again, if you think about, you can kind of see the colors on the table here. I tried to pick colors that, especially like this one and maybe this one, like, I'm like, let me pick ones that really don't look anything like each other. There are some of Feederbrook Farms colors that look really close to each other and like they complement really well. I would not put them together for a night shift.
You want, for all of Andrea Mowry's
you'll lose the detail.
stuff,
like
you want absolutely should not be seen in the same room together yarn.
Mm-hmm. And I will say, so this one was specific heat. This was from an old batch, single by itself. We got a couple new specific heats and they look nothing like this one. They're totally different. So here's the thing is, like, even if you bought the same colors as what I'm using in mine, yours will not come out looking like mine. But that's the fun of it. It will be uniquely yours, even if you use the same color combo as I did.
Yeah.
It will be a unique creation to you. And I think that is so cool. The other thing I was like, okay, great. Now I get to use color F in another color, but it's telling me to break color F. What? Why do I have to break color F if I'm going to use it again? And it's because when you switch colors, background colors, you start on the other end.
It's because, like, on mine,
if you don't read the pattern carefully enough, you will miss that.
What?
It's nothing.
I have, because I'm doing mine in garter, all of my bumps show on the right side.
So you could switch colors whenever you want.
I could switch colors whenever I want, but
there, because this is this has the background is stockinette and the bumps are garter. She's having you change colors. The row that's just like knit across and purl back. She's having you do one row in one color and one row in the next background color for her transition. I mean, you can do whatever you want, but that's her guidelines.
Is what I did.
So cool.
I knit the purls.
So I forget when we started, but we're probably nearing 45 minutes here. So, and thank y'all for sticking with us. I have 2 things on my sticky note to remember to talk about, and see from back here. You can't tell what they are. God. Okay, so the first thing I wanted to mention as we wrap up here is, this was in my newsletter. I might have hinted at this last week. August is our anniversary month, because 3 years ago on July 27th, I opened my doors for a scant like 3 hours. But August is the anniversary of our first full month in business. And even though I say hours and Liz wasn't technically working here yet, she didn't start working here until January. We should have a party for that too. Of 2019, 18. Days off to a great start. She was already starting to gravitate towards living here. So I say hour anyway.
I had applied for permanent residency.
Yes,
at that point.
She was already like, hey, if you need someone to help out, I could work for you. And I was like, no, I got this. Cannot run this place by myself. So we're having a sale this month, all month long. It is online only. We're still expecting to do plenty of business here at the shop outside. Tuesday and Friday.
Tuesday and Thursday.
Thank
10
you.
to 5.
She should just be doing all of this. Anything that needs detail should be put Liz in charge of right now. Tuesday and Thursday, 10 to 5. We fixed the outdoor sign, by the way. Come see the COVID balls I drew. Plague hours are Tuesday and Thursday. Walk up traffic outside. We will bring the whole shop to you. If we have to do it piece by piece, we have a big quarantine box now. Wednesday and Friday are by appointment, either lessons in the morning, inside shopping in the afternoon, but you must make a lesson ahead of time. Online is where you can save money right now. And I'm working as hard as I can to get more things available online, like kits. This yarn individually is on sale online, or it's online. If you put in the code WOW3years, you can spell out the 3 or not, or put the number 3. I think I've made it work, so both of those should work. WOW3years. There's a discount code. I learned the hard way because I was like, let's see how this works, and I didn't do it right. When you view your cart, you put all the things in the cart, and then view your cart. There'll be a little discount code box at the bottom. Put in WOW3years and apply it. That should discount 20% off your sale. And then go to the payment process. You got to do it before you pay, or before you get to all the putting in info for payment, which takes a few minutes. But you can save 20%. It's going to be valid the entire month. I am going to work as hard as I can, because it's not just as easy as going, bing, things are online. But I'm going to work as hard as I can to put more of our shop items online. A lot of the fancy stuff is already online, and so now you can save 20%. You can have it shipped for $5. You can't take 20% off the $5, but usually you're saving money on that. Or you can pick shop pickup. Now don't be thrown by, it's going to ask for your shipping address. Even if you want to do shop pickup, put in your shipping address. And then on another, step, you can say, no, I want to pick it up at the shop. Totally fine. It will work. Call us if you have issues. But save money this month online. It both keeps you safe from contact with too many people, and it's an easy way to pay for stuff. So, yeah. So that was the first thing I wanted to mention. And the other thing I want to mention, because we got to open the shop, like, almost immediately, is we started brainstorming, doing this really fun, I hope it's going to be a really fun thing. Because we've been joking a lot that there's no dumb questions, although we've seen some very intriguing questions on some online knit groups. And I think it's because people, I put this in the newsletter, I think it's because people live in yarn deserts. They don't have local yarn shops. And now local yarn shops aren't really accessible because of the pandemic. And that's where you would go when you have questions about knitting. And so now people are like, and they'll preface it, they'll be like, this might be a stupid question, but, and I'm like, no. If you're learning, and if you don't know stuff yet, it's not a stupid question. That's my take on it. It's not dumb. If you haven't learned it yet, you need to find out. I like our 12-year-old who came in and knit all the time, who we haven't been able to see because no one's coming in. She would worry that her question was dumb, but it's like, or she'd be upset when she wasn't doing something right. But it's like, you haven't done it yet. So if you don't know what you're doing, I wouldn't get down on yourself about it because you haven't learned it yet. And you learn by making mistakes or asking questions. Okay, so long preamble. This is my day to just draw crap out. Oh my gosh. We want to do a question and answer session on the show. And like where let's just take the fear out of dumb questions. And as I was going to do we were going to have this thing called Arts in March here in town. And people are going to go to the galleries and do cool things. I'm like, I want to do a question and answer session called Everything You Wanted to Know About Crochet and Knitting, but We're Afraid to Ask. Like I don't want people to think I'm dumb, so I'm not going to ask it. And then you just don't learn. So we want to do some on-air question and answer stuff. And we both were brainstorming and like, but what's like that? What's a format that's already exists that's like that? And I was like, Dear Abby, or someone said, Dear Abby. Like some newspapers still have Dear Abby columns where people write in and often don't use their own names, anonymity for the whole, this might be dumb and I don't want people to think I'm dumb, which is silly. But, so they'd be like, Dear Abby, how do I tell my sister I don't want her to come to dinner? Frustrated in Phoenix type thing. We want to do that. We think that'd be so much fun. So
we're gonna do that.
We're gonna do that.
We're asking that you mail letters.
We would love you to actually physically mail it so we can hold a letter up and
pull it out of the envelope. We think that would kind of be cool.
We think that'd be awesome. So our address, I will put it in the comments below, but it's Sundragon Art and Fiber, 35 South Broad Street, Brevard, North Carolina, 28712. Send us a letter. And if you can, make up a fun name for yourself instead of your real name. It's possible we will do that if you don't. Or we won't use your full name on air, but we think that'd be really fun. We're calling it Dear Becky and Lizzy, to be in the vein of Dear Abby. Becky was what was my self-designated nickname until college. So, and just the Y's. I don't know if you've ever been a Lizzy.
I was a Lizzy.
Okay.
And occasionally still am. Like
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Well, and I also,
as long as it's with a Y. No way.
My parents tried to make me a Becca, and I can tell you, any Rebecca is really particular about what their nickname is. I was never. I think I was 5 years old. The story goes that I put my foot down and said it's Becky. So anyway, but I don't tend to go by that now so much. I put in the newsletter, I was like, we may not answer to those names outside of the context of this, but I think it'd be fun to do this.
Yeah.
Anyway, so mail them to us. If mail's not an option and you have to email it, we're using Liz's email address. I'll put that in the comments. I won't even say it out loud right now. I'll put it in the comments. Yeah, dear Becky and Lizzy, we are hoping to get it going on Thursdays. And we know this Thursday we might not have anything yet. That's fine. And the other thing is, this is building off of Liz, is like, not all questions might make it to air, but we'll try. But whenever someone asks, it's like, hey, I've got a question. What's stuck in my brain is Liz will say possible answer. So we may not have an answer for everything. We are not experts in everything, but we can share our experience. I mean, that's part of, and it's 10 and I should answer that. That is part of this is going to be really distracting for me. That is part of like what we're trying to do with this show, is share our experiences, but we may not be answering questions that lots of you have that everyone's afraid to ask. So please send those. Hang on a second. Liz is going to vamp or wrap up for us.
So mail in your questions and subscribe to the channel. Rebecca finally figured out how to add in subscriptions to the newsletter. And yeah, subscribe, like, share, all that fun stuff. And I think we're gonna have to go because I saw a bunch of people walk up. So we'll see you guys tomorrow for the VSC. So have a great day and talk to you later. Bye.
Oh man, I didn't even make it back to say goodbye to everybody. Be safe. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.